Who would you like me to start with?
Travis Burke.
Daddy Travis Burke. No.
Ooh,
Wow.
What
That's
now?
not what I meant. That's
What
not
now?
what I meant. I thought we were talking about Graham. Okay, Travis.
What?
Wow, Freudian slip there. Hey everyone, welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan.
I'm Wendy.
And today we're kicking off our Girls Gone Hallmark summer series where we're watching and reviewing fan favorite movies. Today we're reviewing the Mystery 101 pilot, which originally aired on January 27th, 2019. If you want to catch up with us outside of the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram where we are Girls Gone Hallmark and Megan and Wendy.
You can also jump into our Facebook group, Girls Gone Hallmark. Just lots of fun over there. Or you can send us an email, meganandwendy@gmail.com, or jump into our DMs on Instagram, which Megan already mentioned, Girls Gone Hallmark.
If you want to see the full lineup of movies that we'll be watching so you can watch them ahead of our reviews, that schedule is available in our show notes as well as on our website, which is where our show notes live, meganandwendy.com. We have the summer planned out. All of these movies are available on the Hallmark Movies Now app, so for easy watching.
Yeah, I wish they were paying us to promote the app.
They don't have all the new movies, but they have so many of the old movies. Like every movie we wanted to review was there. So if you just love Hallmark, it's not a bad get.
I will tell you, though, I find their interface a little bit sloppy because when I go to search Mystery 101, it doesn't come up.
Agree.
I have to search Kristoffer Polaha.
Oh, I just searched mystery and then I had to scroll down through 800 movies because there's so many of them.
What the heck? Why is it like that?
That was bizarre. I agree. Let's talk some news and notes for Mystery 101. Mystery 101 has a Wikipedia page. Thank you to the hardworking folks who have put that together. And according to that page, the movie we're reviewing today is the first in a series of 7. I knew there was a series. I didn't know how many there were prior to watching this movie. And the last movie did air in 2021. So between January 27th, 2019 and 2021, they produced 7 movies
That's
in the Mystery 101 franchise.
That's a lot of movies.
It is.
A lot of movies.
Kristoffer Polaha did give an interview with Just Jared earlier this year in regards to an 8th installment. And he said, "We love telling those stories, and whatever the network decides, it's inconclusive." He adds, "There's always been conversation about number 8, but there's no, official word." And I did see some commentary from fans online saying, you can't leave us hanging like that in movie 7. So I don't know what happens, but
Yeah, apparently it's a big old cliffhanger.
the fate of Amy and Travis hangs in the balance.
Yeah, I don't like when series do that. They leave a big cliffhanger like that and then don't wrap it up. I need a nice bow on the end of it, you know?
Did you ever watch the television series Jack and Jill?
Oh, that's a real throwback, Megan. I think it was only on one season.
It was. Starred Amanda Peet.
Yes,
Anyway,
I did watch it. It was on
that left a
WB.
major cliffhanger.
Oh, God. You still remember? I don't remember.
I do. It has stuck. You know, you have those shows that you just wish they would come back for a second season just to wrap things up. That's the one. I felt very heartbroken by the loss of that show.
I always confuse, and this is ridiculous, but the main actor in that series always reminded me of Tom Brady. Like, they look just alike.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, it also has Simon Rex, doesn't it? Wow. I don't know where I'm pulling these names out from.
Wow, that is a deep cut. I mean, Amanda Peet went on to do quite a bit. I think that was 2011, by the way, is when this show came out. Sarah Paulson was in it. Jamie Presley.
Oh, yes. Sarah Paulson. Yeah.
Wow. Ivan Sergey is the Tom Brady lookalike that you are referring to.
That's right.
It says they had 2 seasons.
Oh.
32 episodes.
Am I wrong? Was Simon Rex not in that show?
No, you were right. Anyway, back to Hallmark.
Yeah. Back to Hallmark. Jill Wagner plays Professor Amy Winslow, and she has 31 acting credits, including 6 episodes of the MTV prank show Punk'd.
Huh.
Yeah, way back, way when that show was on. And it looks like her first Hallmark movie was called Autumn Dreams from 2015. Apparently she was also the host of Wipeout.
Oh, yes. My family loves that show.
Well,
You ever
let me-
watched it?
Side note, we have a family friend who was on that show and he was hurt significantly
I believe it. It looks like
with a
you could.
lifelong disability. Yeah, really hurt
That's
himself.
horrifying. And I believe it because those people fall in ways that are unnatural.
I think he was bouncing on like one of those big balls or something. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
the big red balls. I mean, it's
Yeah.
funny to watch, funny to say, not funny when you're injured
Hurt for the rest of your life. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no.
Anyway, moving on.
All right. Kristoffer Polaha stars as Detective Travis Burke in this movie. He has 77 acting credits, and his very first, in 2001, he was Dylan in the teen vampire drama Angel. Did you watch?
For one episode. It wasn't he wasn't a recurring.
So I was never a Buffy fan, but that's a spin-off of Buffy. Is that right?
Yes, I watched both. I loved Buffy. I loved Angel.
He has 2 movies coming up, Harlan Coben's Shelter and the hotly promoted A Biltmore Christmas. I'm looking forward to that for the Hallmark Channel.
I
of
can't
course.
wait. I feel like I've been counting down the entire year for that movie.
I know. They filmed in January.
So exciting.
I feel like we could get a second Christmas movie from Kristoffer Polaha with that. He's like, I got time. Throw me in one of those October filmings.
Can I also add here, and this was like prior to watching this movie, I had read that Jill Wagner was in it, and I thought it might be, I was confusing her with Lindsay Wagner, the Bionic Woman.
You thought we were going to have a May-December romance situation?
I didn't really know what to expect. And then when I saw, I was like, oh, Jill Wagner, that's not who I thought it was going to be. And then I had to look it up to see, they are 2 completely different people.
Indeed.
And I was like, was that her mom? Nope, not her mom either.
No relation.
Then, nope. Robin Thomas plays Amy's dad, Graham Winslow. And you want to talk about an impressive resume. This guy has 137 acting credits listed on IMDb. And I got to tell you, when I started the movie, I recognized his face immediately from the old soap opera Another World.
Oh, wow. Another deep cut.
Okay, so I had to look it up because I was like, I was a child, right? When that soap opera was on regularly in my home. And he played a character named Mark Singleton from 1983 to 1985, 2 years. How do I remember this? I was 8 years old.
It imprinted on you that much.
Totally. He's also been in a slew of other things, including a movie I was probably too young to watch called Summer School. Did you ever see that? Had Courtney Thorne-Smith.
Oh, my husband watches it literally every year in the summer, every year.
I actually quite like that movie. Yeah, he's in it. He plays like a principal or a vice principal in it. So next time it's on in your house, you're going to have to look for it.
Yeah, I can totally picture him. He's a kind of the villain in that movie.
Oh, interesting. He's been in Who's the Boss, Fuller House, Damages, tons of other things, CSI.
He was a welcome sight on my screen when this movie started. We'll talk more about that.
Oh, okay. Exciting.
Sarah Dugdale plays Claire Tate. And as this movie opened, I thought, wow, that face is so familiar. And I immediately pulled up IMDb and realized that I am recognizing her from her role as Lizzie on Virgin River, where she plays like a 19-year-old temptress.
Oh, boy.
It's just such a remarkably different role. There's a young, impressionable boy on the show that she falls for, and she's a little bit of a troublemaker. It's just so different, but I really like her.
I've never seen Virgin River. I don't think it's
like
for
a
me.
Slightly edgier Hallmark. A lot of people say like it's like watching Hallmark, but it has a little bit more of an edge.
Well, I like
Ever
edge.
so slightly more of an edge.
I like edge.
Yeah.
Maybe too much. Okay, so I asked some questions on our Instagram about this movie because, the Polaha fans really love this Mystery 101 series.
Yes, they've been yelling at us for a while about it.
Right. So my first question was, do Travis and Amy ever kiss? Of course, spoiler, they don't kiss in this episode.
No.
This pilot movie. This is another side note. They call these episodes, but they're movies.
I don't like that either.
So I wanted to know, do they kiss? And apparently these two do eventually hook up, but it's a slow burn.
Yeah, I figured we were going to get that answer. Much like Tom and Goldie.
Oh, I have lots of notes about Tom and Goldie
Oh, okay.
with this movie. The next thing the fans wanted to know what our first impressions of the main characters were. Have you put any thoughts together on this?
Indeed, I have.
Okay, let's go.
Who would you like me to start with?
Travis Burke.
Daddy Travis Burke. No.
Ooh,
Wow.
What
That's
now?
not what I meant. That's
What
not
now?
what I meant. I thought we were talking about Graham. Okay, Travis.
What?
Wow, Freudian slip there. So, my first impression of Travis Burke is that this is such a different Polaha than the one I know from movies that we fairly recently watched, like We Wish You a Merry Christmas, that soccer movie we didn't love so much, even A Dickens of a Holiday. He's softer in those movies, kind of like dad, husbandy. He's in this came across as more of a tough guy detective. He does this smolder to Amy's dad at one point, and I was like, whoa. And I can see now why the Polaha fandom is so devout, which is not to say that I didn't enjoy him before, but I see why this series is the one they turn to, and they go, no, 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 no. You need to see him as Travis Burke.
I'm going to agree. I'm also going to add that hair and that voice can do no wrong.
Yeah.
And I even wrote down, it's funny you mentioned smolder. In my notes, I wrote, there is a sexy smolder and I'm here for it.
The Polahas are onto something.
They certainly are. And I understand the fandom, what's the word I'm looking
The
for?
Polaha After Dark fandom, so to speak.
Oh, okay. I wasn't thinking about that, but I was thinking about how you got your Tyler Hines fans who are so into him because he has a sexy smolder about him too. But this character of Travis Burke is an equal match, I'm going to say.
1,000% I co-sign that statement.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about Amy Winslow.
Okay. The thing Jill Wagner stands out the most to me. When I think of her, I immediately think of her role in the Evergreen movies. And I think she's fine in those movies. Those movies are very classically Hallmark, and take that however you want. She, in my opinion, shines here in this role. I feel like she's supernatural as a professor, as a, quote, consultant to the detectives. This more serious role, I think, suits her so well. I think she gets to shine as, like, the smart, serious, super hot girl. Mm-hmm. And knowing that this is 7 movies, I feel like this is a really good pairing between the two of them, and I am excited about them.
Wow, we're so on the same page because I wrote down she's kind of a pest, but a very intelligent, beautiful pest.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I like this role, this like smart, intelligent woman who has something to offer.
And what about Graham?
So I gotta say my suspicious detector is going off here.
Oh.
Could he eventually become a murderer in one of the future movies?
No, I refuse to believe that's true because what I wrote is I found his presence on screen to be so soothing.
Oh, as like a really nice, supportive dad.
With a side of Silver Fox?
Yeah, no.
Look, he is credited in all 7 movies, so I was really happy to see that. We are going to get more of him. It's going to break my heart if he becomes a bad guy.
Girl, I don't know. I'm bad at this kind of stuff. Could he be? Anyway. Yeah, I enjoy him too.
We didn't do a synopsis.
Well, let's do a synopsis and then our first impression. When a college student is found dead, English professor Amy uses her crime fiction expertise to unravel the case faster than Detective Travis, who ends up working with Amy to catch the killer.
And your first impression of this movie?
I feel like this is what Curious Caterer wants to be, but it isn't quite there.
I hear you. My first impression is simply, I see why everyone was yelling at us about this movie now. So what did you like about this movie, Mystery 101?
So I'm always a fan of the mystery crime drama movies on Hallmark Movies and Mysteries. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a lot of M's in that sentence. I find myself more invested versus like a regular Hallmark movie because in the regular Hallmark movies, I've come to anticipate what will happen in those, where these ones kind of like throw me for a loop. I
Yeah.
never know exactly. And it's probably because I haven't watched that many. I'm sure there's a clear, formula it follows.
I do want to talk about that later.
Oh, okay. I'm always like pleasantly surprised with how much I like these.
I agree with you. My favorite review of this movie from IMDb is, This is the best of the mystery series I've seen. The acting is good. There are no weird wigs to distract, and the leads have chemistry. I look forward to more parts in this series. Their wigs comment just made me laugh. I agree with you about the mysteries because I think they bring something that the other movies don't necessarily always have. The mystery keeps me watching. I would like to know who done it.
Me too. Although I'm real bad at figuring out that part of it.
I would like to talk about that too.
Yeah, later on. I'm gonna tell you who I thought my number one suspect was.
Oh, okay.
Is this not a perfect character for Kristoffer Polaha to play?
God, really? I'm like, I think you actually are a detective who moonlights as an actor.
It's a role for him. He is perfect in it. And I wonder, this is just me wondering, is this a stretch for him? Like, I've seen him in a handful, probably 3 regular Hallmark movies. So now I'm like, well, I need to check out a full catalog of his work because I want to see what else he can do. Like, is this just like a total natural fit to play this Travis detective guy? Or is it a stretch for him?
Yeah, that's a great question. And what roles does he feel most comfortable in? Right? I honestly could see this movie series turned into a television series. Like, I would be here for that.
Like a weekly?
Yes.
Yeah, I could get on board with that too. What else did you like?
I would say knowing that we get 7 movies in this series, I love the setup of so many character arcs. I think if we were to have watched this in 2019 as it aired, I would be left feeling like, wait, I want more of Claire and Bud. I want more of Grant. Like, tell me more about them. Knowing how much more we get and knowing that these characters are in multiple movies, I feel like, okay, I'm okay with just the setup here and not the full payoff because I feel like we've got time to get to that.
That's a good insight there.
Thanks.
Would you continue watching the series?
I totally would because I feel like the fandom did not let me down on this one and I need to see their relationship play out. You'll see something in one of my wishes.
Okay. Hey, Jill Wagner.
Yeah.
Incredibly beautiful, but I feel like she gets the Hallmark yearbook make under in this movie versus her pictures on the internet, I'm going to say. I think in this movie, she was very beautiful. I really liked her outfits too, got to say. But when I see pictures of her on the internet, she's just gorgeous. She's absolutely stunning. Well, let me ask you this. Why don't we see her in more Hallmark movies?
I don't know.
I'm kind of surprised by it.
I mean, when you think about it, she made 7 Mystery 101 movies over the course of 3 years. So it's not like they weren't using her. But since the last Mystery 101 movie, she hasn't been in a Hallmark movie.
I would think the fans would be calling for her to be in a movie.
She's been in a Christmas movie. Last year, she was in a movie with Cameron Matheson, which was not for the Hallmark Channel.
Uh-oh.
Oh, let me find out what network that aired on.
Yeah.
Christmas. Oh
no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Okay. It is possible that this movie was acquired. It says more acquired Christmas movies coming to GAC family. So I do not think this was a movie that was made for that network.
Because we could have potentially blown the lid right off this thing as to why there is not an 8th movie and why she has not been on the network.
Potentially.
Maybe not.
She was in an ABC Family Christmas movie in 2021, for what it's worth. What else did you like about this movie?
I like these two together. There's a definite obvious attraction between these two characters, and I can appreciate it wasn't all like fireworks at the end.
Yes.
Instead, there was like this like sincere relief that they had each other, and I kind of liked that a lot.
As much as we complain, this movie took place over a series of weeks, right? And we complain about that in other movies where they rush into the relationship. I think as much as I want to see some heat from these two, they're going to make us work for it.
Hey, so there were a few funny lines that I really quite enjoyed in this movie.
Uh-huh.
One in particular is when Bud calls Travis Trav, and Travis says, "Don't ever call me Trav again." And I laughed out loud. It was so quick, like you might have missed it, but it was really funny. And there's another scene where Amy's totally crashing in on the crime scene, and Travis is like, "Ugh, what is she doing here?"
I love that these mystery movies give a little bit of a nod to the dummies out there who maybe aren't paying close attention throughout the movie. They're like, we know sometimes this is a background movie for you, so let me give you a synopsis of all the characters and their motivation. And they did this time with Amy and Alden in the car when Alden's driving with a gun pointed at her, and she breaks down all of his motives and why people did things and how he was caught and what actions came as a result of his actions. I was like, thank you very much for this 90-second synopsis of everything I might have forgotten why all these characters were involved.
A little baby recap in case you nodded off.
Yes. In case you got confused or were folding laundry instead of paying attention.
Hey, what I really liked at the beginning was we got a remake of Men at Work's Who Can It Be Now?
Yeah.
And I actually really like that opening scene with he's like the motorcycle and the music. It like drew me right in.
And I was like, is that Polaha on the motorcycle? Of course it wasn't. I liked that opening. Kick him over the edge of the cliff. I like when we get a little of a grit on our Hallmark movies.
Me too.
Are you ready for what you wished for?
Yeah.
The first thing I wish is for someone to DM me and let me know what movie these two kiss in. Like, maybe I can just skip ahead.
You want to skip to the
Potentially.
You're not into the slow burn. You need the action right away.
Sometimes I do.
Okay.
Like, is it movie 5 or is it movie 3? Right? Like, it's a big difference here.
Okay. What I wish for is this had too many suspects.
You wish for fewer suspects?
Yeah. Because when this happens, my brain kind of like fritzes out and I just want to go to the end and find out like who did it.
Yes.
And I would also like to note here that I was way off with who I thought.
Oh, who did you think?
I thought it was Bud from the beginning. I was like, oh, nope, that guy is super suspect.
Oh, from the class?
Yes. It was not him.
It was not.
You didn't think this had too many suspects, though, overall?
I think that's honestly pretty typical of these movies and mysteries. Maybe there's lots of misdirection. And while we're talking about this, I'll tell you that I have a question. It's in Hallmark movies, is it always the person you least expect? Because that is the assumption I go into these movies now. Like, they just misdirect. And in the last movie we watched, it was the nice assistant who was the bad guy, the Paul Campbell Cases of Mystery Lane. And in this movie, I was like, oh, it's Alden, because he's this guy who has the access. He's everywhere. Nobody's paying attention to him. I didn't have any idea what his motivation was, but very early on, I was like, he's way too involved to not be involved.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't pick up on that.
And nobody was looking his direction. So
neither was I.
When I read a mystery novel, I never have any idea who it is. As far as I know, they didn't talk about Alden's child being sick until he's being accused of being the murderer.
No, girl, they talk about it way at the beginning. He's installing like security cameras and Amy and him exchange they have a conversation. He asks about her mom dying and then she asks about his sick kid and he shows a picture on his phone of like a bald child.
The one he shows later. Oh, yeah. My brain erased that moment.
Mm-hmm. This is where I was like, is this mystery or misery here? Because let's exchange our sad stories. I'm like, oh boy. Oh boy. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think if Professor Amy wasn't involved, would Travis have been able to wrap this up on his own, like more quickly and efficiently?
Oh, I thought you were asking a different question. I don't know, because she did seem to be pretty helpful. She had a lot of insider information about people on campus that it might have taken him a longer time to get to.
Like, I get that it sets up like their working relationship for future episodes, but I don't know, it's kind of like, and here's where I draw a parallel between this series and the Curious Caterer series, is that we have Goldie who like fumbles into detective work where like she's not supposed to. And it's kind of the same with Professor Amy, is like she's like stumbling into helping him out.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect parallel. I mean, I felt like she was very helpful and at the same time shouldn't have been there. When he's questioning the suspects, why is she there? There's multiple times when they find Lacey and they're questioning Josh. There's no reason for her to be there, like playing the good cop, bad cop role with him. Like, she's no cop. she's teacher. So like the bad cop, good teacher role, it felt like, well, this has got to be an egregious breach of police protocol here.
Totally.
But she does offer a lot of insight that Travis might not have had without her. I will just say I found her less intrusive than I find Goldie's character. As much as neither of them belongs where they are, I think Amy's character is a more natural fit.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, all I can think of is Goldie is like coming up behind Tom and like, Tom, watch out for that whatever. And then Tom turns around like a doofus. And yeah, it's like watching the Three Stooges together. I mean, I like those movies. Here's like a stupid wish for. I wish Professor Amy was teaching true crime instead of crime fiction.
Oh, interesting.
Only because I don't read a ton of crime fiction, but I am invested in true crime. And I feel like crime fiction could be like almost fantasy a little bit in terms of like anything can happen. Whereas like a true crime, actual true crime, like follows. Do you get what I'm throwing down here? Not really.
Yes. I mean, and Travis kind of throws that at her. He's like, this is an actual crime, not something written in the pages of a story. So, yes, and a writer can make anything happen.
Right. That's what I was trying to say. Exactly.
Interesting, on that same point, I said I wish I could take a crime fiction class not because I have any interest in writing crime fiction, but I think it might be an interesting way to understand, like maybe I would be a better reader, a consumer of crime fiction if I understood the tropes and the setup and the structure that crime fiction writers follow. Because when I read a crime fiction novel, I'm like, oh, I wonder who did it. And then like we're 3 pages to the end, I'm like, oh, that's a total surprise. Didn't see that coming.
Interesting point. Finally, I wish the actual criminal, what's his name again?
Alden.
I wish he wasn't motivated by having a sick child. Because, okay, look, parents of ill children can act out of desperation. I'm not suggesting that this is the way to do it, but I just wish he had a different motive.
Yeah, so that you would dislike him more?
Yeah. Like, truly make him like a bad guy. Make him murderous because he is evil. I don't know.
Well, that's another thing. Again, we're pretty new to the Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, but even if you just look back at the most recent, like the Cases of Mystery Lane, her motivation was like justice for her sister. Is this a running theme through these mysteries where they try and humanize these bad guys by giving them some sort of backstory that makes you not just completely write them off? So IMDb had a couple did you see that's right there for us.
Do tell.
Professor Winslow tells the detective she can tell he was married by seeing the mark on his forefinger, which is not your ring finger. I misspeak all the time, but I don't have an editor in my life.
Isn't there some sort of supervisor that questions those things? That's funny.
And Travis says, okay, but I got to cross my I's and dot my T's, which certainly is probably something I've said before too, but script supervisors exist for a reason.
That's funny. Well, even the actor you would think would like go, wait, that line doesn't really work.
Well,
or
I say things on this podcast and I don't hear myself say it until I'm editing it. I'm like, wow, that was the wrong word. Like I just completely say the wrong thing. So
yeah, that's really funny. Good catches, IMDb.
Let's rate this movie and then I'll ask this question.
Okay.
I gave it 4 stars.
Ooh, Megan, I gave it 3.75.
Oh, we're flipped from earlier.
Yeah.
The most recent review. So here's my question. 3.75 is a good review. Like that's a sign that you enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Do you find it sometimes harder to review movies that you kind of enjoy watching overall?
I find it harder to pick out the elements of things I didn't like. I'm going to throw back to The Wedding Cottage. Was a movie that I felt was very easy to watch and I enjoyed it overall. But when I sat down to review it, I was like,
yes.
What was it that I really liked about it?
Yeah. All right. Thank you for listening to this episode of Girls Gone Hallmark. For the complete lineup of the movies we will be reviewing this summer, please visit our website, meganandwendy.com, where you can find all of our Girls Gone Hallmark show notes. If you love this podcast, we love your 5-star ratings and reviews. Hop into the Apple Podcast app, tap the 5 stars, and let everybody know why you love this podcast. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.